Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Elevate Your English. I'm Avery, and I'm here with my wonderful co host, Eden.
Hey everyone, it's great to be here with you.
Today, we're talking about something that touches every single English learner at some point, something that makes your heart beat a little faster when you know you have to speak.
Right, that feeling when someone asks you a question in English and your mind just goes blank?
The fear of speaking English. And I want our listeners to know right from the start, if you feel this way, you are so normal.
Absolutely normal. Even native speakers get nervous sometimes when they have to speak in front of people, you know?
Of course. I remember when I was learning Spanish, I would practice entire conversations in my head, and then when I actually had to speak to someone, it went completely different.
Right? It always does. And that's actually the thing about real conversations. They're unpredictable, which can feel really scary when you're learning.
Mhm. So, let's talk about what's actually happening when we feel afraid to speak. Eden, what do you think is the biggest fear that learners have?
Oh, that's easy. Making mistakes. Everyone is so worried about saying the wrong thing or using the wrong grammar, you know?
Yes, the perfectionism trap.
It really is. And here's the thing, perfectionism is actually the enemy of learning. When you're so focused on being perfect, you don't take the risks that help you improve.
Right. And you know what's funny? Native speakers make mistakes too.
That's a good point. Communication isn't about perfection, it's about connecting with another person.
Well said. There's another fear that's maybe even bigger than making mistakes.
Being judged?
Yes, that's a big one. People are always worried about what others will think of their accent or how slow they speak or if they sound stupid.
Mm-hmm. And this connects to something else I see a lot, comparing yourself to others.
Saying, "Why can my classmates speak so fluently and I can't?" Or, "I've been studying for 2 years, I should be better than this."
The comparison game is so dangerous because, well, everyone learns differently. Everyone has different backgrounds, different amounts of time to practice.
Different first languages, too. If your first language is Spanish, English might be easier for you than if your first language is Mandarin or Arabic.
So true. So comparing yourself to others it's like comparing apples to oranges. It doesn't make sense, and it only makes you feel worse about yourself.
I would like to share something personal here. When I first started teaching English, I was so nervous to speak in front of my students, even though English is my first language.
Really?
Well, yes, I was worried they would think I wasn't smart enough or that I would say something wrong. Fear of speaking is really fear of being judged, no matter what language you're speaking.
That's such a good point. So, what changed for you? How did you get over that fear?
Well, practice helped, but more than that, I started focusing on my students instead of myself. Instead of thinking, what if I make a mistake? I started thinking, how can I share my idea with this person?
That's beautiful. So, you shifted from thinking about yourself to thinking about the other person.
What a practical tip. And this is something our listeners can do too. When you're about to speak English, instead of thinking, what if I sound stupid? Try thinking, how can I share my idea with this person?
It takes the focus off your performance and puts it on communication, which is what really matters.
And speaking of shifting focus, I want to share a simple exercise that can help calm your nerves before speaking. Eden, do you want to try this with me?
Sure, let's do it together.
Okay, everyone, you can do this with us. First, let's take a slow, deep breath in through your nose, hold it for just a moment, and out through your mouth.
That feels good already. Everyone pause the show, breathe, and comment below breath.
Good idea. Let's do that one more time. Deep breath in, hold, and slowly out. Good. Now, here's the thing. When we're nervous, we breathe really fast and shallow, which actually makes the nervousness worse.
It's like a cycle. You're nervous, so you breathe fast, which makes you more nervous, which makes you breathe even faster.
When we slow down our breathing, it tells our brain, hey, we're safe. We can relax a little.
And this is something you can do anywhere, right? If you're in a meeting or ordering food at a restaurant, you can just take a moment to breathe.
No one will even notice. And here's another little trick. Before you speak, remind yourself of one simple thing. The person you're talking to wants to understand you.
Ooh, I like that. Tell me more about that.
Think about it. When someone speaks to you in broken English, are you judging them or are you trying to understand what they're saying?
I'm trying to understand them. I'm usually impressed that they're speaking a second language at all. That takes courage.
Most people are on your team. They want the conversation to work. They're not sitting there waiting for you to make a mistake so they can laugh at you.
Right. And even if they were, which they're probably not, but even if they were, that says something about them, not about you.
Yes, oh my goodness. If someone is unkind about your English, that's their problem, not yours. You're doing something brave by speaking the second language.
In my experience, that's super rare. Most people are patient and helpful when you're learning.
That's true. Now, let's talk about another exercise, a thinking exercise. This one is about preparing your mind before you speak.
Okay, I'm curious. What is it?
So, before you speak, ask yourself just one simple question. What's the main thing I want this person to know? Just one thing, not 10 things, just one.
Ooh, that's smart. So you're not trying to say everything perfectly. You're just focusing on one main idea.
For example, if you're ordering coffee, the main thing is, I want a coffee with milk. You don't need to explain your whole life story or use fancy vocabulary.
Right. Keep it simple and clear. That actually leads to something else.
What's that?
It's okay to speak slowly. In fact, speaking slowly is better than speaking fast and making lots of mistakes.
When you speak slowly, you have time to think about your words, and the other person has time to understand you.
Yes, some think I speak fast, no one will notice my mistakes. Take your time, and it's okay to pause. If you need a moment to think of a word, you can just say, or let me think, or even just be quiet for a second.
Yeah, native speakers do this all the time. We say, and and what's the word I'm looking for? It's totally normal conversation.
Of course, conversation is not a performance. It's just two people sharing ideas. And sometimes we need a moment to find the right idea or the right word.
Something to keep in mind is it's okay to ask for help. You can say, how do you say? Or what's the word for? Or I'm not sure how to explain this, but
People love to help, and when you ask for help, it actually makes the conversation more friendly and natural.
I agree. It shows that you're engaged and that you care about communicating well. That's attractive to people.
Now, I want to talk about something that might sound a little strange, but embracing mistakes.
Ooh, this sounds interesting.
Okay, so mistakes are not failures, they're information. Every mistake tells you something about what you need to practice more.
That's such a good way to think about it.
One thing is true. If you're not making mistakes, you're probably not challenging yourself enough. If you only use words and grammar that you're 100% sure about, you'll never grow.
Yes, you have to take risks to improve, and taking risks means sometimes making mistakes. That's just how learning works.
So I want our listeners to try something. Next time you make a mistake in English, instead of feeling embarrassed, try to feel, curious.
Curious?
Yeah, like, oh, interesting. I said I have 25 years instead of I am 25 years old. Now I know something new about English. Cool.
I love that approach. It turns mistakes into learning opportunities instead of sources of shame.
Yes, and you know what? The person you're talking to probably understood you anyway, even with the mistake.
Communication still happens, which is the whole point.
That's right. Now, let's talk about practice, because the only way to get more comfortable speaking is, well, to speak more. There's no way around it.
Some of you might be thinking, but where can I practice? I don't have English speaking friends. I don't have anyone to talk to.
Great question. And you know what? You can start by talking to yourself.
Really? That sounds kind of weird.
I know it sounds weird, but hear me out. Try describing your day in English while you're cooking dinner or walking to work. No pressure, no judgment. Just practice, moving your mouth and making English sounds.
And you can practice conversations too, right? For example, imagine you're ordering food or asking for directions.
Yes, practice both sides of the conversation. Be the customer and be the waiter. It sounds silly, but it really helps you prepare for real situations.
You can also read out loud. Find an article or story you like and just read it out loud. It helps you get comfortable with the rhythm and flow of English.
Very helpful. Start small. You don't have to have a long conversation on your first try.
Right. Maybe just say thank you to the bus driver or have a good day to the cashier. Little things like that.
Little interactions that are low pressure but give you practice speaking to real people in real situations.
Each time you do it, it gets a bit easier. The first time is scary, but the second time is a little less scary.
That's the beautiful thing about practice. It's like it's like exercising a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets.
Speaking of getting stronger, let's talk about confidence because I think confidence and fear are connected, don't you?
Absolutely. The more confident you feel, the less scary it is to speak. But here's the thing about confidence.
What's that?
Well, if you're waiting to speak until your English is perfect, you'll never speak. But if you can accept that your English is good enough to communicate your ideas, then you can start speaking today.
Yes, and your English is probably better than you think it is. Most language learners are way too hard on themselves.
Most language learners underestimate their abilities. And here's something I want everyone to remember. You don't need to sound like a native speaker to communicate effectively. Communication is the goal, not perfection.
That's such an important point. Your accent, your way of speaking, that's part of who you are. Don't try to hide it or be ashamed of it.
I have friends from all over the world, and I love hearing their different accents when they speak English. It makes conversations more interesting.
Your accent tells your story. It shows where you come from and what languages you know. That's something to be proud of.
Your multilingual brain is amazing.
Absolutely, and something is really important. Sometimes we focus so much on what we can't say that we forget about what we can say.
That's a great point. You might not know the perfect word, but you probably know three other words that mean almost the same thing.
If you don't know the word exhausted, you can say very, very tired. If you don't know delicious, you can say tastes really good.
Work with what you have. Don't let what you don't know stop you from using what you do know.
Don't forget celebrating small wins. If you successfully order your coffee in English, that's a victory.
Don't wait for big moments to feel proud. Be proud of the small moments too.
Every English conversation you have, no matter how short, no matter how simple, it's practice, and practice makes you better.
Remember, progress doesn't always feel like making progress. Sometimes it feels like you're not getting better. But you are. Trust the process.
Language learning is not a straight line. Some days feel good, some days feel hard. That's completely normal. For example, being tired and stressed can affect your memory and ability to speak.
Lack of sleep can make it harder to think, even in your native language.
Yes, I want to leave our listeners with some final thoughts. Eden, what's the most important thing you want people to remember from today?
I want people to remember that everyone feels scared sometimes, and that's okay. The goal isn't to never feel fear. The goal is to speak anyway, even when you feel scared.
That's beautiful. Courage isn't about not being afraid, it's about being afraid and doing it anyway.
Remember, every conversation is a chance to practice. Every mistake is learning. Every time you speak, you're getting better, even if it doesn't feel that way.
Learning a language takes time, and speaking confidently takes even more time. That's normal and natural. You're not behind, you're not slow, you're exactly where you need to be.
Yeah, give yourself the same kindness you would give a friend who's learning something new. Be your own cheerleader, not your own critic.
The fact that you're learning English, the fact that you're listening to this podcast, that shows courage. That shows you're willing to try. And that's the most important thing. So let me quickly recap our main tips for everyone. First, breathe slowly and deeply before speaking. It really does help calm your nerves.
Second, focus on your message, not your performance. Think, How can I share my idea? Not what if I sound stupid?
Third, it's okay to speak slowly and make mistakes. Most people want to understand you and they're patient when you're learning.
Fourth, practice speaking to yourself. Start with small interactions and be curious about your mistakes instead of embarrassed by them.
Most importantly, your English is good enough to communicate right now. You don't need to wait until it's perfect to start speaking.
Start where you are with what you know and trust that you'll improve as you practice. Every conversation teaches you something new.
Well, I think that's a perfect place to end today's episode. Please comment below one thing that helped you in this episode. Please subscribe and become part of our growing family on Elevate Your English. I'm Avery.
I'm Eden. We'll see you next time on Elevate Your English. Until then, keep practicing, keep trying, and remember, your voice matters, and your English is good enough to share it with the world.